Let's just take it off.
Hey! Relax, goddammit!
DC is leveling up in 2026 and 2027 with fresh heroes, daring villains, and some seriously bold storytelling. So let's break down the biggest upcoming DC movies that are about to shake things up. Supergirl. Supergirl has had quite a journey to the big screen. Back in August 2018, a solo film was in the works as part of the old DCEU. We first got a glimpse of her in The Flash, played by Sasha Calle. But things shifted when James Gunn and Peter Safran took over as co-CEOs of DC Studios in October 2022. Fast forward to January 2023, a brand new Supergirl movie was announced, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, inspired by the 2021-22 comic miniseries. Before this comic, she always felt like the side character in Superman's shadow, but then I read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King, caught that tiny cameo tease in the movie, and wow, it completely changed how I see Kara Zor-El. Now, I'd argue it's one of the best, most definitive takes on her in her entire 66-year history, so it makes total sense that James Gunn is using this story as the blueprint for the upcoming Supergirl movie. The comic, written by Tom King, with stunning art by Bilquis Evely and vibrant colors by Matt Lopez, is only 8 issues long, running from 2021 to 2022. But despite being a relatively new entry in her story, it's already considered one of the most important Supergirl tales ever told. The story takes Kara on a transformative journey filled with pain, loss, and triumph. It shows her as someone more damaged and complex than Superman, yet still embodying those same core ideals that define the superfamily. It's raw, emotional, and honestly one of the most beautiful explorations of her character. The art even reflects that vibe. You've got Kara standing with a sword, a young girl's face looming behind her, Crypto the Superdog, a spaceship, and a blazing red sun in the background. It's bold, it's tragic, and it's hopeful all at once. So what's Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow all about? The story opens with Kara sitting in a bar on the edge of the universe in a solar system without a yellow sun. She's drinking to numb the pain of everything she's been through, watching Krypton and everyone she loved get wiped out, then spending years thinking her whole purpose was to protect baby Kal-El. But when she finally makes it to Earth, Kal's already grown up and becomes Superman. That leaves her feeling lost, like she doesn't really have a place or a reason to exist anymore. On top of that, people are always comparing her to Superman, which only makes her feel even more aimless. Basically, she's at rock bottom when this story begins. Then comes Ruthie, a young alien girl whose father was murdered. She shows up asking Kara for help to hunt down the killer, and Ruthie's not bluffing. Whether Kara helps or not, she's going on this revenge mission. From there, the two set off on a journey across the galaxy. It's part space adventure, part emotional gut punch. Along the way, Kara's forced to face some big questions about vengeance, justice, and what being a hero really means. Through Ruthie, Kara sees her own pain reflected back at her, and she slowly starts to rediscover her strength and purpose. It's action-packed, sure, but it's also a deeply moving, introspective story that digs into who Supergirl really is. Honestly, it's one of the most personal and powerful takes on her character ever. But why? Simple. It's the ultimate hero's journey, packed with character growth, moral gray areas, sacrifice, responsibility, healing from trauma, and some serious self-reflection. What makes this series so special is how it zooms in on Kara as a person, not just a superhero. Sure, we see her saving the day, but the real focus is on her inner struggles and growth. And that's huge, because Kara is so often just seen as Superman's cousin. Woman of Tomorrow finally gives her space to stand on her own, showing she's not just a sidekick or a copy of Kal-El, she's her own hero with her own story. The comic doesn't shy away from her emotional wounds either. It digs into her trauma, her grief, and how she's carried the weight of Krypton's destruction all these years. It also shows how her bond with Ruthie forces her to face her past and rediscover her purpose. By the end, Kara's heroism isn't just about her powers, it's about her resilience, compassion, and ability to keep moving forward despite all she's lost. Honestly, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow feels like the purest, most complete take on her character. You don't really get Supergirl until you've read this series. It captures everything that makes her who she is. With James Gunn's new Supergirl movie on the way, a lot of fans are probably wondering where to start with Kara Zor-El's story. And honestly, it can feel overwhelming. She's been around for over 66 years, with tons of comics, reboots, and crossovers. I was in the same boat a while back. I knew her mostly as Superman's cousin who sometimes shows up in his stories, but I'd never actually read a Supergirl comic. So I went looking for the best place to start, and everyone kept pointing to Tom King's Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. And let me tell you, I'm so glad I listened. This series is incredibly beginner-friendly. It gives you everything you need to know about Kara without expecting you to have a deep knowledge of DC lore. It also shows her in a completely new light, more layered, more human, and way more compelling than just being Superman's sidekick. By the end, you really understand who she is and why she matters. It's not just an introduction, it makes you fall in love with her character. Supergirl hasn't had her own movie in decades, and now DC is rebooting everything with their new Gods and Monsters era. James Gunn is starting fresh with Supergirl, which means he needs a story that defines her at her core while being easy for new audiences to jump into. That's exactly why Woman of Tomorrow is the perfect choice. No recent comic has fleshed out Supergirl's personality, trauma, and heroism as beautifully as this one. It's action-packed, emotional, and accessible, which makes it the ideal blueprint for introducing Kara to a whole new generation of fans. Recently, James Gunn shed some light on why Millie Alcock's Supergirl made her debut in the Superman movie, and it's actually a really clever way to introduce her character before her solo film. One of the fun nods in the film was the House of El. Fans got to see Kal-El's parents, and in a quick but memorable cameo, his Kryptonian cousin Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl. Her appearance comes right at the end of the movie, when a very drunk Kara stumbles into the Fortress of Solitude to pick up Krypto, revealing the hilarious twist that the dog actually belongs to her, not Superman. Alcock's cameo was one of those little surprises that teased where the DCU is heading, with her solo Supergirl movie already lined up for June 2026. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Gunn explained why this cameo mattered so much. For him, it wasn't just about teasing another character, it was about showing more of Superman's empathy. Gunn pointed out how Superman risked his life to save a dog that wasn't even his. Lois calls it just a dog, and Superman replies, "Yeah, not even a very good one, but it's probably scared." That moment highlights Clark's deep compassion. Then at the end, when we find out the dog actually belongs to Kara, it makes it even more touching, and kind of funny, that Superman went through all that trouble for someone else's pet. This little scene also gave fans a glimpse of how different Kara and Clark are. She's a bit more reckless and carefree, clearly off doing her own thing while leaving Krypto with her cousin. But it also showed their bond and gave a sneak peek at Kara and Krypto's dynamic, which will likely play a big role in her solo movie. Directed by Craig Gillespie with a script from Anna Nogueira, Supergirl will feature Jason Momoa as Lobo, Matthias Schoenaerts as Krem of the Yellow Hills, and Eve Ridley as Ruthie Mary Knoll. It's shaping up to be a wild ride that blends the humor and heart we got a taste of in her cameo. What's still up in the air is whether David Cornswit's Superman will show up in Kara's film next year. But even if he doesn't, Alcock's brief but fun introduction sets up plenty for her solo story. Clayface. The Clayface movie is officially happening at DC Studios. After HBO's The Penguin did so well, the studio has given the green light to a feature film about the shape-shifting Batman villain, with Dr. Sleep director Mike Flanagan writing the script. Matt Reeves and Lynn Harris are producing through their company, Sixth and Idaho Productions. Flanagan actually pitched this idea back in 2023, and even tweeted in 2021 about how excited he was to make a standalone Clayface movie as a mix of horror, thriller, and tragedy. But since he's already busy with the Exorcist reboot and a Carrie series for Amazon, DC is looking for another director to take over. Word is, we'll be getting an official announcement soon. James Gunn recently opened up about how the Clayface movie came to be. Even though a solo film about the Batman villain might seem like a surprising choice for the DCU, he thinks the idea is strong enough to make it work. In an interview with IO9, Gunn admitted he hadn't originally planned on making a Clayface movie, but when Mike Flanagan pitched it, Gunn was hooked. "I can't believe you got me to want to make a Clayface movie," he said. After reading Flanagan's script, he was even more convinced. "The first draft was great, the second draft was even better, and then I thought, let's do it." James Gunn broke down the DCU's approach, saying it all comes down to one thing: quality. "If there's quality stuff, we can find a way to work it in," he explained. He also addressed all the rumors about upcoming DC projects, pointing out that just because something is in development doesn't mean it'll actually get made. "There are a lot of things people seem to be counting on that it may be unwise to count on," he warned. Gunn's mindset shows that DC Studios is focused on making great movies first, rather than forcing a shared universe just for the sake of it. He made a similar point when talking about Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, saying it was chosen to follow Superman simply because it was the best option. "Everything has to be good," he emphasized. As for Clayface, the character has been around since 1940, first appearing in Detective Comics number 40. The original version, Basil Carlo, was a washed-up horror actor who lost it when he found out a remake of his movie Dread Castle was happening without him. Originally hired as a consultant, he snapped, put on the Clayface mask from his old role, and went on a killing spree. In Earth 1, Basil Carlo's backstory is pretty much the same as his Golden Age version, but he's not as big of a threat. Eventually, he gets taken out by John Carlinger during an attack on his yacht. After Crisis on Infinite Earths, Carlo finally gains shape-shifting powers by injecting himself with the blood of Preston Payne and Sandra Fuller. He dies twice, once leaving his body covered in quartz-like crystals. Later, during Infinite Crisis, he joins Alexander Luthor Jr.'s Secret Society of Supervillains, then later works with the Injustice League. At one point, he even copies Donna Troy's form after absorbing her powers. The new DCU has already given us a glimpse of Clayface in Creature Commandos, the animated series that kicked off Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. Even in its early episodes, Creature Commandos has been great at introducing key characters from DC lore. In just 5 episodes, we've already met Circe, a major Wonder Woman villain, and gotten a glimpse of a dystopian future where many DCU heroes are dead, something Circe warns about. Episode 5 is especially interesting because it brings Clayface into the mix, marking the first major appearance of a Batman villain in the DCU. It turns out he's been impersonating Isla McPherson, the woman who saw Circe's vision of the future alongside Amanda Waller. In reality, Isla is already dead, and Clayface has secretly taken her place. What makes Clayface's debut so intriguing is that he's the first big-name Batman villain to show up in the DCU. While other characters like Dr. Phosphorus have ties to Batman, they're not as well known or central to his rogues gallery. This sets up an exciting precedent, especially with all the buzz around Batman's upcoming solo movie, The Brave and the Bold. But with how Clayface's story unfolds in Creature Commandos, things could get complicated for his future in the DCU. Clayface has a history of surviving situations that would be fatal for most characters. In the comics, he's come back from what seemed like certain death more than once. There are even storylines where his form splits into multiple bodies, something seen with his daughter, Catherine Carlo, who shares his abilities. So there's a chance the Clayface we saw wasn't the only one, or that this death is just a temporary setback. The Batman Part 2. Matt Reeves has officially finished the script for The Batman Part 2. And while the movie won't be part of the main DCU continuity, it will remain a key piece of DC's Elseworlds projects. These are standalone stories, whether in movies, TV, or games, that sit outside James Gunn and Peter Safran's main connected universe. They're designed to keep DC's world more varied and flexible, which means Reeves's darker, more grounded Gotham is here to stay. The film has been delayed multiple times. It was originally set for 2025, but after some script setbacks, the new release date is October 1st, 2027. Gunn actually confirmed on Threads that the only reason for the delay was the script. Reeves wanted it to be perfect, and big films like this need about 2 years for pre-production, filming, and post-production after the final draft is locked. Gunn even defended Reeves publicly, saying fans need to be patient because the first film was great precisely because Reeves took his time. And now, the wait has paid off. The studio is reportedly thrilled with the final draft. Plot details are still under wraps, but Reeves has made it clear that Bruce Wayne will remain the emotional core of the story. He doesn't want Batman to get overshadowed by his rogues gallery, which often happens in sequels. That said, Gotham's world is definitely expanding. The Penguin HBO Max series will tie directly into Part 2. Fans are already speculating about who the new villain could be in the Batman Part 2, and one name keeps coming up over and over: Mr. Freeze. Dr. Victor Freeze is a very different kind of Batman villain. He didn't start out evil. He was a brilliant scientist who only wanted to save his terminally ill wife, Nora. In a desperate attempt to preserve her life, he cryogenically froze her, but a tragic lab accident left him unable to survive outside sub-zero temperatures. To keep himself alive, he dons a cryosuit and wields a cold gun, turning to crime as Mr. Freeze. Reeves has described his Batman saga as an epic crime story, and Mr. Freeze is just grounded enough to work within that framework while still bringing a touch of sci-fi flavor to the franchise. Another is the Court of Owls. They are one of the most intriguing and chilling possibilities for the Batman Part 2, and many fans believe they're the hidden hand behind everything happening in Gotham. In the comics, the Court of Owls is essentially a Gotham Illuminati, a secret society made up of the city's wealthiest, most powerful, and most corrupt figures. For generations, Gothamites thought the court was just a nursery rhyme, a myth told to scare kids. But they've been real all along, hiding in plain sight. This secret council fits perfectly into Matt Reeves' vision of Gotham. His first film already peeled back the layers of systemic corruption, exposing how the city's criminal underworld and elite families were deeply intertwined. But what if all that corruption wasn't just random? What if it was all orchestrated by something bigger, older, and much more dangerous? And finally, I think Two-Face is exactly the kind of villain who would feel right at home in Matt Reeves' gritty Gotham. Harvey Dent starts out as Gotham's golden boy, a district attorney who genuinely wants to clean up the city and take down its deep-rooted corruption. But after a horrific accident leaves half his face permanently scarred, Harvey's idealism shatters. He spirals into madness, becoming Two-Face, a criminal mastermind obsessed with duality and chance, often leaving decisions to the flip of his infamous coin. He's not just another thug, he's a tragic figure who exposes the hypocrisy and two-facedness of Gotham's own institutions. What makes Two-Face so perfect for the Reevesverse is how grounded he is. He's larger than life but still rooted in real human emotion, loss, trauma, and the struggle between good and evil within a single person. That's exactly the type of villain Reeves gravitates toward, as seen with the Riddler in The Batman. In The Batman Part 2, Reeves could easily chart Harvey Dent's rise and fall, starting with him as Gotham's greatest hope before showing how the city's corruption and his personal tragedy twist him into one of its worst criminals. Even though Two-Face has appeared in live action before, most famously in The Dark Knight, there's still plenty of room to interpret him. Reeves could lean into the psychological depth of Harvey's transformation and really explore how someone so noble could completely break. Well, that's it for today. That's the DC lineup set to redefine the next 2 years. Hope, horror, and a whole lot of Gotham grit. Which one has you the most hyped? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe because we'll be covering more updates on this soon and other exciting upcoming movies and series. We'll see you next time.